what does it mean to hook up? You watch a movie, the man and the woman, they're just in the club, or maybe they are somewhere. They just look at each other. Next scene, boah, they're already offering clothes. And this isn't just a movie. This is real life experiences where people have sex just for the fun of it. Is it good? Is it bad? Are there long-term consequences? Are there long-term advantages? Let's explore that. Okay. Hookup is the frequency with which people have sex without any form of emotional entanglement. Okay, we can see it in the movies we watch, we can hear it in the songs we listen to, but there is a prevalent culture whereby people try to detach meaning from sex. People, so for instance, now you ask a woman, what's your body count? She says maybe 20 or 30. You ask a man, what's your body count? He has probably even higher body counts than that. Okay, and let us ask, why do we have such a prevalent culture? Well, one, peer pressure. Simple, peer pressure. Peer pressure doesn't just start at the horizontal level. So it's not just about the fact that your friends influenced you. There's a prevalent culture that I want us to watch out for. So for instance now, the idea of LGBTQ, how did LGBTQ become normalized? LGBTQ became normalized because we had people who championed it. We had the media, that tried to champion it as much as possible. And to be very honest, it's still not as normalized in Africa as compared to the West. But the fact remains that for any campaign to move strong, then it must be championed. The music you listen to only talks about sex. The movies you watch only talks about sex. Like, you can literally be watching a movie, okay, and there is a very unnecessary and unrelated sex scene that just appears in your front. And so everything is normalized to your face. And with this normalization comes the new culture. So we have media influence, and then we now have peer pressure. So your peers are learning from other people, and then they are influencing you. So we have that. One thing is on the high rise as to why we have a high rate of hookup culture is transactional sex. Poverty is increasing in the country. And what this just means is that because poverty is increasing in the country, women are more likely to exchange their body for money. And to be very honest, some women that are doing transactional sex are not necessarily ashawos. You can have a woman that is actually working a 9 to 5 that still does transactional sex, and I will explain. So for instance now, life is hard for you, and then there's this person that's been asking you out. Let's say he's the married person, he has been asking you out. He's promising to make your life easy. And you have genuine needs. One reason, and it's a huge temptation, and the reason why it's a huge temptation is very simple. It's a huge temptation because all you have to do is just go to his house, open your legs, and he's going to take care of you. And so that's a huge temptation for women mostly. Now, the question to ask is, what are some of the things that people benefit from short-term hookup culture? I'll start with number one. It gives you a sense of desire. So for instance now, let's take a quick example. A lady who was always caged, or a guy who was always caged in his parents' house, or a lady, you end up in a university and you're meeting attractive women, attractive men. Speaking from a societal perspective, when men get women, it's like the same rewarding feeling just as a man has won a football trophy, right? So for instance now, a man that is banging multiple women will be hailed by his guys that, oh more, this guy sabi the game. That gives the man a feeling of conquering. He feels like a conqueror. Feels like he's achieving things. From a female perspective, it gives her the feeling that she's desirable to men. That is, men desire her. And especially women who grew up from, say, single mother households, who wanted to be loved and desired, they are the ones who might most likely engage in hookup culture. Part of the reasons. Now, for some people, they just want to explore life, all right? And that feeling of exploration brings about freedom. Okay, it gives them a feeling of freedom, because there is this thing, there's this lie that has been spread on the media, and is that you should learn to explore, learn to find your sexual match, your sexual energy, learn to get that person that meets you on a certain level of sexual energy, and all of those things. And so sometimes some people are just trying to explore, just trying to have sex, just trying to find meaning in what they are doing. So you also have things from that level. What are some of the consequences? Okay, what are some of the consequences of, say, exploring the hookup culture? This thing that media has sold to us. Okay, because media tries to paint sex as this thing that is enjoyable, which it is, but they try to make it look like you can enjoy it now. I watched a reality show. Watch just the first episode, Young, Famous and African or something. I think Idibia is on that show. And there's a woman who has a daughter that is 15. And the woman said that anything that her daughter wants to explore, even sexually, that she's fine with it. That she said, I think she defended her line with something along the lines of whether they'll still do it or something like that, right? But she said that she's fine with it, that she will even guide her. And I think that is just irresponsible parenting. And some of the consequences of, trying to make your child or you trying to explore, number one, is we see a decreased level of emotional bonding the more you have high body count. So I would explain. Let's assume, let's take for example a woman that has been sexually, that's not sexually active, that let's say she does loses her virginity, for instance. The level of bond that she's going to have with that guy from observation of people's experiences, the level of bond she's going to have with that guy is going to be on the rise after she has had sex with him. Why? Because he was her first. That thing that a woman will say that he was my first actually means something. Now, why is it important to have high levels of emotional bond? Let's take for instance now, a woman who didn't have, or a man or a woman who didn't have a high level of, say, body count, or let's say they were virgins when they got married. So their exposure was pretty much themselves. The likelihood for divorce would most likely be less than people who have explored. Why? Because exposure brings a certain level of temptation. I'll explain what that means. Now, from a biblical perspective, Adam and Eve were in the garden. Adam and Eve did not know what good and evil was until they ate the forbidden fruit. It was after they ate the forbidden fruit that Cain realized that I can actually kill my brother. I can do this. I can commit this if I can commit that evil. Adam and Eve did not know that they were naked until they ate the fruit. Now, what this means is that it is until you've explored and explored and explored that certain possibilities begin to become real to you. So, for instance, now, this whole issue of sexual compatibility, where a person will say, okay, I believe that you should marry someone that you're sexually compatible with and all of those things. Again, with the example I just gave, how will you know that you are sexually compatible with the person, with somebody, if you've not eaten the forbidden fruit? How can you even test your sexual compatibility? How do you know what your sexual compatibility is? Because guess what? When a woman comes and the woman says that, Chike does not satisfy me. When what that woman is saying on a subconscious level is not Chike does not satisfy me. It is Chike does not satisfy me like Abraham used to. It's a relative comparison. It's not an absolute sense. It's a relative sense. So, it also diminishes your ability for sexual satisfaction over time. Because guess what? If you have a body count of 70, or let's say you have a body count of 40, let us even be more, let us say you have a body count of 20, what is the likelihood that the 21st person that you're going to get married to who is going to perform as much as the other first 20 people? What this just means is that eventually you have to settle. So you might not get that sexual satisfaction that you're looking for, you just have to settle for less. Which also increases the likelihood for you to cheat in marriage. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that all of these things would never have happened. The room for the temptation would not have even happened if you did not have these multiple occurrences. And so when sex feels sacred to you, the ability for you to give it to different people feels weird. Hence, the higher the likelihood for you to be able to stay faithful to one man or to one woman. Because this is not just a women thing, it's also a men thing. Hookup culture is going to affect your ability to stay faithful. It's going to affect your ability to be sexually satisfied. In fact, there is a study that was done, and the study stated that people who engage more in hookup culture first of all lose their ability for emotional bonding. Secondly, have a higher likelihood to feel empty. And that's because the fulfillment and the emotional bonding that sex brings, when you lose it, all you feel is emptiness. So there's no difference between you and a dog that just has sex for just enjoyment and procreation. Yours is even just enjoyment. The emotional bonding is gone. And so it's very important to live like on a stoic level. Stoic level meaning that I'm able to deny myself of certain gratification right now for long-term fulfillment. I'm able to ensure I minimize my body count as much as possible, so that when I marry, I'm not comparing my man or my woman against 5 other different people. So you'd realize that on the long term, keeping yourself pace. Having meaningless sex satisfies your immediate longing, but destroys you over time. And I hope that with these reasons of mine, I'll be able to convince you and not confuse you. Please, if you find this video helpful, it helps a lot if you like. Please like it. Even if you cannot comment, like and subscribe. Share too if you can. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to see you next week. Bye.